culture of innovation is one where different parts of the organizations are having a good collaborative conversation to see how can we serve this customer better.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into Nodes of Design. To help support our mission spread knowledge, we have a very special guest on today's episode. Let's welcome Janaki Kumar, who is a thought leader in design-led innovation in enterprises, and she had delivered award-winning products and services that help businesses transform the way they work. Presently, she's head of design at commercial banks JPMorgan, Chase & Co. and also the Co-Instructor at Consumer Experience Design at Stanford University. Previously, she worked as VP Chief Design Officer at SAP. Janaki was also named a Woman of Influence by Silicon Valley Business Journal in 2016. She's an active writer and speaker on innovation and design with more than 20 plus patents filed on her name as an inventor. She's also the co-author of Gamification at Work, Designing Engaging Business Software. She's been a speaker at various occasions including TEDx and IXTA. She has also guest lectured at Stanford School, Carnegie Mellon and San Jose State University. In this episode, Janaki had shared wonderful insights on crafting a culture of innovation in an organization. She shared some insights on how to bootstrap the culture of innovation and what the role of a design leader to foster this culture. And we also spoke on how to incorporate a culture where people focus on inventing new stuff or solving the actual problem rather than focusing on trends. The later part we discussed on gamification models that will help nurture better, innovative and productive minds. We also spoke on the few techniques on implementation to understand success or failure of various modules that being a design leader one implement to set up for a betterment of the company and their peers. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, and to celebrate the anniversary of Notes of Design podcast and also completing 50 episodes in this podcast, this whole month we'll be featuring different women design leaders across the design industry to help you better understand different topics related to design. So don't forget to tune in to Notes of Design every Friday. With that being said, happy designing everyone. Hi Janaki, welcome to Nodes of Design. It's a pleasure hosting you today on our show.
Thank you for having me, Tej. It's my pleasure to be here.
So Janaki, how's your day going?
It's going really well. Yesterday was Thanksgiving in the US. So we had a very nice Thanksgiving yesterday with my close family. And as you know, the coronavirus is running rampant. So we didn't have a big family gathering. So we had a Zoom gathering with my extended family. And we had a very nice dinner with our very close family.
Thank you so much, Janaki. So if you could give a brief about yourself to our audience out there.
Yeah, my name is Janaki Kumar, and I lead the design for commercial bank at JPMorgan Chase. And I, prior to this, I was the head of design and co-innovation center at SAP, where we were running several strategic projects. My area of work is really using design to create a culture of innovation and to create experiences that truly delight our customers.
Thank you so much, Janaki. So if you could tell us what was your journey into design and how did you start? And what are the tips that you want to suggest to the beginners out there?
Sure. Yeah. So when I've been in the area of design for many, many years, even before the field of human-computer interaction was really a well-known field, and people could really aspire to be a human-computer interaction designer. So I started actually with a master's in finance, and I also have a degree in computer science. So what I did was I worked in a company to install some software. And what I found, what most energized me is helping people use the technology, customize the software so that it's really understandable for people, creating dashboards that give people instant access to the information that they need. And I could really see the delight on their faces when, you truly understand what they're trying to achieve, and you're able to help bring the technology to them in a way that makes sense to them. And, people feel really smart and accomplished instead of technology making them feel really dumb and stupid. Instead, they feel very empowered by the use of technology. So when I started to see that I had a knack for empathy for the user needs, as well as I understood technology and I also understood business, I started to say, wow, I would love to do more of this, And then when I came to Boston University, and I had some very good counselors who helped me get into the field of interaction design. So they helped me. I have another degree in information systems from Boston University. And from there, I moved into the field of design. And this has been many years since, and I've never looked back. Tips to beginners. I think people, the wonderful thing about design is that it is a multifaceted field. Design is all around us. You may be someone working in the medicine field, right? But you're still able to bring the lens of design to anything that you do. If you're looking at it from perspective, okay, how can I make this experience much better? Then you are a designer. So design doesn't just mean, drawing great pictures or creating screens. It also means crafting experiences end to end that make the most sense to a human being. So the human centricity of a designer is really front and center. I think from a beginner, start with your strengths, whatever your area is, and then start to understand the tools of design, whether it's service design, which maps out the end-to-end journey, whether it's interaction design that understands digital experiences. Those you can build upon your strengths and then take it and add the layer of design. Once you get started, you can go deeper there as well.
Thank you so much, Jan. So let's begin our episode with crafting a culture of innovation. How do we bootstrap the culture of innovation in any organization, and what roles a design leader plays to foster this culture?
Yeah, I think the main thing is many large organizations, right? They are interested in design. And I think that is the first step, right? Many organizations are, especially successful organizations, they have a built-in resistance to doing things differently. But as you know, the world is changing, right? There's new technology that's coming into play. Customer expectations are changing. New business models are changing. And then there may be some competitors who are doing certain things that are disrupting the market, right? So it's really important for large organizations to always be introspective and understand what are they doing well? How can we serve our customers better? And have this mindset. But on the other hand, what happens, and that is essentially the culture of innovation. A culture of innovation is one where different parts of the organizations are having a good collaborative conversation to see how can we serve this customer better, and having an iterative mindset. Where it comes into a little bit of a challenge is when the organizations, especially very successful organizations, are resistant to change. They say, okay, this is not how we do things. This is all great for some other startup, but you know what? We're different. So then you as a leader, design leader, you have to articulate the need for doing things in a different way. And I think the best way to go about it, from my experience, having done this for many years with large organizations, is to, again, approach it with empathy for your stakeholders as well as your customers. So you kind of understand, like, yes, I understand that it's difficult for you to change. You have a 100% organization doing everything a certain way. Tomorrow, you're not going to be able to just make them all work in a different way, right? So what you need to do is highlight the customer needs, articulate that back to your stakeholders to get them to fully understand what's changing. And then another way is to also, have patience and take small steps. Like it's okay to identify some strategic areas and then move forward. So I'll give you a concrete example of how this happened at Design and Co-Innovation Center. So there was a large company. I won't mention the name, but it's a fairly large. Like they have food services. Food. They provide a lot of foods. Products. If you go to the supermarket, you will see that they have ice cream. They have pizza. So lots of these products that you see in the store shelf they provide, and they are a very large global company. The headquarters is in Switzerland, and they recently purchased a company in Los Angeles that had that did pizza and ice cream. And what they have is people who drive trucks to take these products and stock it in their store shelves. So what they understood, since it was an acquisition, they wanted to understand, what is the process like? What kind of technology can we provide for these drivers to be more efficient in delivering these products? And how can we do things better? So that was a good thing. The starting point was they understood that they needed something different. So what we did from a human-centered perspective is me and my team, we actually drove. We did a ride-along with the drivers. They start their journey at like 3-4 a.m. in the morning. They load their truck and they drive to, in the US, we have Safeways and Trader Joe's and other stores. So they go from store to store, stock the shelves, and they move on. And when we started actually observing what the drivers do, it opened our eyes, because it's not just that they go and drive and deliver, right? They're doing a ton of other things. So once they drive to the store, they have to wait for the store manager, like the Safeway manager, to open the garage door, essentially the back loading dock. They have to go in, and then they go to the shelves. Sometimes the shelves are like icy. They clean the shelves. They make sure that the products are displayed in the right way. And also there is a lot of agreement between the company and the store to where it should be displayed. So sometimes store owners pay extra to have the products displayed very prominently. So on and so forth. So they are doing a lot of things. And some customers may say, where is that hazelnut ice cream that I loved last week? Why isn't there? So the driver has to know what the shipping schedule is for this thing as well. So this driver is playing so many roles. So when we highlighted, we told this whole story, day in the life of this driver, back to the stakeholders, and we had a presentation where we had people fly in from multiple parts of the globe, and we did this presentation. It opened their eyes, and they started to have a very deep empathy for this driver. And they said, wow, this is a customer service representative. He's not just driving a truck. He's really representing our company to this person. So how might we augment him with technology so that he does all of this? And then from that, once that mental click happened for our stakeholders, there's no stopping them. So they started brainstorming ideas like, oh, maybe we can have weather-related information so they know if it's going to be a hot week coming up. Maybe they can have, they can encourage the managers to have more, their ideas started flowing. Then the project was just in an amazing start, right? So I think that is the key to this, creating a culture of innovation, creating deep empathy for the end users, but also approaching it with deep empathy for your stakeholders, knowing that they are smart in knowing what they do. So it is upon you as a designer to make that case. And I think that is really the essence of the culture of innovation.
Thank you so much, Janaki, for explaining us in such detail. So how to incorporate a culture where people focus on inventing new stuff or solving the actual problem rather than following trends?
I mean, as I mentioned, I think it goes back to empathy as well. I think it's okay when, as part of our discovery research, we do look at trends. What are competitors doing? There are industry analysts who say, the industry is going in this way and that way. And it's important for any organization pay attention to that. And there's nothing wrong with it. But you can't just follow it blindly, okay? Because sometimes your company's situation and your customer needs may be different from what's really just out there. And I think that is the key to innovation, like having a deeper understanding of what your customers need. That is like the raw material you need to build, to have sustainable innovation. If you're just following trends, sure, you may look good for that 1 quarter or maybe like 2 quarters. But then after that, people are going to understand that this is just a gimmick. It's not long lasting. And then you're going to lose the respect of your own customers. So I think it's okay to pay attention to trends, but that's not the only aspect. The most important is your customer needs.
Thank you so much, Janaki. So how does gamification help in nurturing better, innovative and productive minds in the workspace?
Yeah, I think gamification, is really having and it's a mindset more than actual game mechanics, right? So imagine when there are lots of research that says within employees, how do you motivate employees? More employees are not just motivated, especially when you are an employee who is an information worker. You're not merely motivated by your pay, right? Your salary is one aspect, but you're also interested in learning and growing and mastery and connections and all these aspects and like feedback. All those things are even more motivating to you when you get into that level of your career than your paycheck, right? So essentially, when you're playing a game, you know exactly what is the score that you have, which level that you're in, what do you need to do to get to the next level, and you have that sense of mastery. Sometimes in our workplaces, we don't have that sense of mastery. We are like, I'm working as hard as I can, but I'm really not sure. Am I doing right? I'm not doing right. Once a year, managers give you your reviews. That's not enough, right? Like, so you as a human being are like looking for, your human beings are just learning organisms, and we want to learn and we want to be encouraged. We want to have feedback. So basically, gamification is just bringing that mindset to everything that we do. I think, that's the essence of how we look at gamification. First of all, as a leader, if you want to think about that, first, you have to be clear about your mission. So what is it it that you want your employees to do? So let's imagine you want your employees to fill out their timesheets very accurately, right? And you're trying to tell them, oh, you can go about it in a punitive way. And say, oh, this person didn't do it, so bad. You can do it in a punitive way, but you can also, and that is typically how we are all trained to work. Like if you go above a certain limit, you get a ticket. But 99% of the time you're going around the speed limit. Nobody's giving you any kind of recognition for the good things you do, right? Why don't we just flip the script and think about how do we recognize and encourage people who are doing the right thing? And then guess what? People are going to do the right thing. So just shifting the focus from the negative to the positive. And then once you do that, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy where all your employees want to do the right thing. And I think that is, and as an organization, you have to be clear on what is the right thing, right? You can't be wishy-washy about it. You have to say, you know what, this is really what we want to do. And then you encourage your employees, you give them feedback. And that's the magic that is needed to create an organization that's really, like self-motivated and thriving.
Thank you, Janaki. So any few techniques or methods that you would like to share with us in setting up a gamification at a workspace in both remote and normal scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many. It really depends on the technique. I wouldn't just apply a technique that one. It really has to be contextual to what you're trying to do. I'll give you an example. When we all went to work remotely during in March timeframe, everyone said work from home. And one of the things in our organization that we are very proud of is we have area where we connect socially. So every Wednesday we have lunch together. We share a little bit about it. We check in and we have all this hallway conversation, creates the social bonds between the different departments. And then I think when we do projects together, we are much more likely to work together even better because we have that human bond that's been connected, right? So when we went remote, my manager and I, we were talking about it. And he said, that is a danger, right? If we all just go remote and we don't continue to nurture those social connections, it's going to become, everyone's going to get into a silo mindset and our culture will really break down very quickly. So, okay, we don't want that. What can we do? So we said, all right, let's have check-ins and check-outs every day. One of the things that I instituted was question of the day. So the question of the day could be, what is your favorite restaurant? Or it could be as simple as, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? Or it can be, which country would you like to visit the most? Or it can be anything, but it's a small little hint into your life. And what we do is in the Zoom meeting, we go around and I would publish, on our channel, just like our internal chat channel. I would say, okay, the question of the day is such and such, and then everyone will, at the end of the day, when they check out, they would say that. And recently, we had a little, feedback session, and everybody said that question of the day has really changed. They said we feel closer to each other now than we did before we went remotely. So I think that made me super happy because, again, it's that intention, the mission. What is the mission? The mission is to make sure that the social bonds are not, degrading. And the second is how do we, and then going into the mechanics and then constantly getting feedback. And you have to do it with a light touch. That's the thing with gamification. You can't just do it in a heavy hand. You also have to be open to feedback and kind of change and move and listen. It's a lot about feedback for the person who's organizing this as well. Yeah, and I think that's a concrete example. As long as you have a mission, I think if you think deeply and introspect, you will come up with an idea.
Thank you. So being in leadership role, how could you measure success or failure for various models that we implement? Be it innovative models or gamification or anything new that we set up for betterment of our company and our peers?
I think at the end of the day, it's customers, right? You have to get feedback from your customers. There are quantitative and qualitative metrics. Usually we work with transformation leaders and there is a certain business metric that they are trying to measure, so they have a business goal. And we as designers, we kind of work together with them and try to achieve the goal. So that's the quantitative metric the business is naturally measuring against. There is also the qualitative metric, which the business, I think designers can learn a lot from looking at, I think getting testimonials from customers on what's working well, what's not working well. And I think those testimonials will, not everything that is important can be measured. And that is important for as an innovation leader, very important to recognize that and make sure that we look at it through the lens of the human-centered aspect. Even for creating metrics in the organization, it has to be human-centered. And I think that lens is the superpower that all design leaders need to develop.
Thank you, Janaki. So could you please share with us, how does your typical day look like, and any interesting stories that you would share with us?
My day, I think it's a lot of meetings. I have, a team in New York as well as in Palo Alto. So I want to have a constant communication with them. So I have a lot of meetings. We also have usability sessions, and whenever I can, I look at that. Every morning at 7 a.m., we have a operating committee check-in to see how is the business going, what's the next release, how can we, what's going well, what's not going well. So it's a pretty busy day. It's a packed day. Yeah. What stories? I think stories are more around, like what I mentioned, the question of the day is usually very interesting for me. I look forward to learning a little bit more about my team. And then we've had this other feedback, one other idea, Tuesday at the museum. So sometimes we share an art piece from some museum, and then everybody sort of tries to say, what do they see? How? And then it is fascinating for me to hear everyone's feedback. So I think at the end of the day, I just love to learn more about the people that I work with, and that's really what motivates me.
Thank you, Janaki. So we'll conclude the show by you recommending us 3 favorite books of yours, and also people who inspire you the most in this space.
Absolutely. So I think for your viewers, if they have not read Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman, I think that is a must read. I've read it multiple times in my career. Initially, the first time I read it, it opened my eyes, to the affordance and really look at how design is all around us. And I've read it a couple of times after that as well. So that's just a must read. And then I think, there are, if you're interested in design thinking and you want to just get into what does it mean? There's Creative Confidence by David Kelly and his brother. That's a really good book to understand, what is a creative confidence culture. So he talks about it's not innovations, but innovators that matter. And, you need to nurture yourself as an innovator. So I thought that was a powerful message. And yeah, there are so many books. Another book that's very useful is Business Model Generation. It's a book that has, as a designer, you have to understand the business as well. And you have to get frameworks to help navigate the multitude of requirements from a design perspective, from a business perspective, and create it to design outcomes. So that's a good handy reference book. So very high level to tactical. And people who inspire me, I think there are so many people who inspire me every day. And I think the first one, I would say Don Norman. He is such a thought leader. He's contributed so much to our field. Even now, he's 80 years old, but he's still working to improve design education for everyone. And he's been a mentor, and he's one person I admire a lot. The second person that comes to mind now is Dieter Rams. So Dieter Rams, he created the original Braun design. It's more around product design and the simplicity of the UI and the minimalism. You see it manifesting even in the current day the iPhones and so on. So it's just his legacy is very long. So I admire him as well. And then the third I would reserve for all the young people out there. I think I now spend time with my employees, and it's not just me telling them what to do, it's also learning from them. And I think the young designers of the world who are moving and shaking and having a desire to have a social impact, all of you inspire me. So continue to do what you do.
Thank you so much, Janaki, for your wonderful time. And we are looking forward to host you again in our upcoming episodes.
Thank you, Tej. It's really a pleasure.